first of all, I want to thank everyone for taking a moment to get on this Zoom call. I would always ask a show of hands for people who are fully staffed, not a care in the world, that everything is great. And you might get one that's doing it as a joke, but no one ever really raises their hand. You know, this Zoom is all about culture, but I would like to add it's about retention, it's about morale, it's about profits, it's about your consumer. And so we're in a dog fight out there for staff. We all have a hook in a pond, and we're all trying to fish for the same people. Some have bigger hooks than others, and yet we still just can't seem to catch anything. So I am honored to introduce a panel of 3 amazing leaders. I've done this panel several times, and each time I learn something different. Write down your questions. You may put it in the chat, and I will do all I can to figure out where that chat is so I can ask them. But I'm honored to, first of all, introduce Jack Cohen, Visit Butler County, the Lehigh Valley Group. We have Jody, who is the Vice President of Human Resource, Laura, who is the Senior Manager of Restaurant Training, and David, who is the Senior HR Business Partner. And we also have Anthony Lombados, CEO of Footers, who, by the way, if you are not on his call on the 14th, did an amazing job. And I know there's a recording out there somewhere. So please get that link if you didn't have it and watch that and share that with your team. Because Anthony, I sent that to my team and they loved it. So thank you all. So I'm going to jump in with some awesome questions. I'm going to do my best to spread them out. And again, if you have any questions, maybe Heidi or someone can watch that chat box because I don't even know where to find it. So first of all, if each group can spend about 60 seconds, kind of an elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, that would be great for the group. So we'll start with Jack Cohen. Go ahead.
And Brian, I don't see Jack yet. He must have gotten hung up. So we'll let him catch up when he gets on the call.
Thank you, Jack. Just kidding. That'd be funny. All right, then we'll go to Lehigh Valley. Hop on.
Good afternoon. I'm Jody Stetz, and like Brian said, I'm the Vice President of Human Resources. I actually work for a company called Talent Management Services, but we do own and operate Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group, which is a Red Robin franchise with 21 locations. We also have a small food contract management company, and we're just getting a new business off the ground as a brand partner for Wingstop. I did bring 2 of my partners here with me today, so I'd like to let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Laura Palermo. I'm the Senior Manager of Restaurant Training, so I oversee training from a day 1 team member all the way through General Manager.
And I'm Dave Burrington. I'm the Senior HR Business Partner for the Red Robin side, and I handle everything from team member relations, workers' comp, all the boring HR stuff. I'm your guy. So we're excited to be here today.
Boring. You're far from boring, trust me. Awesome. Anthony, you're up.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Lombados. My wife and I own Footers Catering in Denver, Colorado. It's a 2nd generation family business that my dad started 40 years ago. And we purchased it from him 12 years ago, and been very fortunate to be recognized for some of the work we've done with our culture, and created a sister company called MIBE that is the acronym for Make It Better Every Day. And we focus on intentional culture building and heart leadership education for the hospitality industry.
All right, and then if someone can keep an eye out for Jack, I don't want to miss him if he pops on here. That'd be phenomenal. So, well, great. So I'm just going to kind of bounce back and forth here. This first question is for Jack, or not Jack, dear Lord, is for the Lehigh Valley Group. What programs have you instituted to help with your employee retention?
So a big part for us was recognizing that we're no longer competing with other restaurants. When we do lose people, 9 times out of 10, it's not to another restaurant, it's to something outside of our industry. So we've really changed our focus to focusing on how we can provide a better work environment and be competitive with other industries. So we've really had to think outside the box of what we can do to raise that competition level, do things that provide a more flexible work environment, require less hours, pay higher wages. Some of the things that we did require capital, and those things are like a dollar menu for our team members. When they're working at certain times of the year, they can order off of our dollar menu. We have a Cash for College program where team members who are students can qualify for tuition reimbursement. We closed the restaurants a couple of days last year for mental health days, and that was just during, last summer when the staffing issues were at an all-time high and managers were just run down and everybody was working really, really hard. We just determined that that was a need, a full day to just disconnect and not have any emails come in and truly relax. We enhanced our EAP offering with extra sessions to put a focus on mental health. And we actually rolled out a paid parental leave program and a retirement bonus. And the purpose of that was to really leverage us that you can build a career with us. It's not just a job. It's not somewhere that you work till you get to wherever it is you're going, that you can make hospitality your real career. A lot of the things that we do, however, didn't require a lot of money. We offer financial wellness webinars every month with a CPA, and that just focuses on personal wealth. It has nothing to do with our company. It's just generalized advice for everyone to seek a better financial situation for themselves. We built a pretty strong internal development program. So it's formal from day one all the way through multi-unit operator, and there's a path for you to choose and the development's there for you. Probably the biggest thing we took on was a whole team commitment to a 40 to 45-hour work week. As you all know, the restaurant industry is known for 80-hour work weeks, and you need to be there at all times. And if you're not there, you need to mentally be there and connected by your phone. So from the top down, we really put a focus on how do we limit that to 40 to 45 hours? How do we take care of our people so that they can have a good home life too? We instituted an unlimited vacation policy for our managers. So it's no longer a tenure-based program. We initiated a D&I council to put a focus on diversity and inclusion. We have a manager and women's excellence program to focus on development specifically in those areas. We have a burger perks discount program, which is basically like discounts to amusement parks and things for our team members to use during their time off. We started an internal social media platform to celebrate anything and everything, from a great looking burger to anniversaries with our company to promotions and everything in between. We follow an annual engagement calendar, and I think this brought probably the most fun to the work environment, where we just have an annual calendar of fun days. It might be National Just Because Day or National Ice Cream Day. Star Wars Day is coming up, and we allow our team members to dress up and just have fun with it. There's not much in it for us. It's just a day that they can have more fun at work. So overall, I think the biggest thing was that we just adopted a culture of hospitality. We can't expect our team members to show our guests hospitality unless we give them a firsthand experience of what that looks like and feels like, so then they can relay that to our guests as well.
And, I hope someone just learned something new there. There's a lot of great, helpful information, and not everything costs a blank check, which I think is really, really great ideas, guys. Thank you. Anthony, why don't you chime in on that as well? What do you do?
Yeah, that's tough to follow. It's great work. That's impressive laundry list there of things that you've been working on, and I love the intentionality behind it. For us, I want to speak just a minute to the pay thing, because I get this quite a bit. And I do believe you have to compensate people fairly, right? But when you start trying to, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I paid them $1 more an hour to come work for us, and then they're upset because they left to go somewhere else for another $1 an hour more. And my response to that is that if you're going to value money as the most important thing, then you can't be upset when somebody gives your team more money. And so I think our focus has been make sure we pay people equitably and compensate them fairly, but let's not differentiate ourselves based on compensation. Let's differentiate ourselves based on our culture. And a lot of things that we do are similar to what Laura was saying, that revolve around this concept of how do you value people for more than the job they do. And so for us, that means let's stop thinking about people walking in the door and all of a sudden like their personal life stays outside and their professional life is all you see. if somebody's life is in shambles at home, it's probably going to impact how they show up at work. And if they're struggling at work, it's probably going to impact what they bring home. And so if we can, as our managers, start responding to people and understanding what they need at different times, it allows us to be a little bit more flexible with how they work, when they work, what they need, when they need it, and how the rest of our team responds to that. So I think that, you know, it's not a one size fits all for all of our team members. It's really looking at individually what they need. And when we think about retention, those are some of the things that have helped us most along the way. I give the example, we had 2 of our team members were recently going through divorces, and one of them came and was like, I just want to pour myself into work. I want more projects. I want to work more. I want to understand, like, I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is be home alone, like stewing on this. And the other one was like, the thing I need right now is a weekend to just go be with my family and to just, you know, that's what I need right now. Here's 2 people that are going through the similar situation, but needed completely different things. And so the ability to respond in different ways, I think, has been critical and built up a lot of loyalty and social capital with our team.
Thank you. So to kind of piggyback that a little bit, you both said a lot of great information and just a lot of low-hanging fruit and hard to reach fruit that does take time. Was your company culture always like this, or did you have to make some serious adjustments down the road? So Jody, I'll start with you and your group. Did you have to make any adjustments?
Yeah, thousands, hundreds of thousands of adjustments, and we still do every single day. You know, we 15 years ago, things were not anywhere close to where they are today. And it was a long, difficult journey. A lot of people had to make a lot of changes and put a lot of effort into getting where we are. And I'm sure you know, changing the company culture, changing a mindset doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it has to be constant reinforcement of this is where our focus is. This is where our focus is. We're not focused on the numbers. We're focused on the people. So, you know, we had to do a whole lot to change to the morale of our staff. And it really started probably 10 years ago, but we had a new CEO. He set a vision to be a truly great place to work. And, you know, our teams, our whole leadership team has worked really hard over the last 10 years to make every decision with that vision in mind. We did a lot of things, you know, as we were putting the HR team together, we focused on building our team with all ex-operators, because we knew we could teach them the HR side of the business. People were already in the people business, right? So teach them that people side, the HR side, but we needed them to understand what it was to walk in the operator's shoes, so that we were putting programs together that really made an impact to the lives of our operators and our team members, and that we're not just sitting behind a desk somewhere making decisions that we think are going to be good for people. And, you know, a lot of that too was, how do we change the perception of HR and our leadership team when for 20 years, every time one of us walked into the restaurant, it was a bad thing. They were scared, they were in trouble. We were going to point out 100 things that were wrong and never give them those positive experiences. So we had to really intentionally create a lot of positive experiences that were going to outweigh and outnumber the negative experiences that they've already had. You know, we created, I think Laura mentioned, we did a Twitter campaign. We did a lot of social media, a lot of celebration. We did things like we danced. I don't know if anybody remembers the Kiki challenge. I don't even know if you know what that is, but some of our team members told us about it. It was a dance challenge on Twitter. So the HR team, some of our operators went in and just did this challenge so that they could start relating to us as people and not just, you know, somebody away in an ivory tower. And we poked fun at ourselves. You know, we would play Darth Vader music when we did some videos, because we wanted people to know that we knew that they thought that, you know, we have this reputation. And so we worked really, really hard to become partners, trusted partners. You know, we changed the name of our HR team to HR at Your Service. We became 24/7. So when they needed us, we were there. And it took a lot of hard work for them to know every time they asked, we were going to be there and we were going to help them. It took a lot of, you know, nights, weekends, 1 a.m. conversations. TJ and I spent so much time on the phone at 11, 12 o'clock at night, especially in the beginning as we were trying to change the culture and people started to trust us and our executive team. We were visible in the restaurants. And then, you know, we did a campaign. I'm sure that a lot of you know the Danny Myers book, Setting the Table. We all read that. We gave it to everybody in our restaurants. We talked about sharing fire. How do you share your fire? What does that even mean? You know, sharing your passion, igniting other people's interest and getting them excited in what you're doing and teaching them things. And it just really cool stuff. And people just really started to kind of slowly come around. And then once they trusted us more and they valued what we were doing to appreciate them, they were more willing to give us open, honest feedback because they believed that we really wanted to hear it. And we were going to do something about it. And so, you know, we do a lot of state interviews, but also we did surveys in the beginning. What are you guys looking for? We don't want to tell you what we think is important to you. We want you to tell us. And so some really easy things. They asked for jeans. You know, we used to take ourselves really seriously. We're a burger joint that serves fries and beers, and we insisted people wear black pants. You know, why can't they have jeans? So we gave them jeans. We gave them off for their birthday. Laura created a whole new training program so that they really had the tools that they needed. And like she said, we did team building events and discounts and just these days just to celebrate them being here and showing up for their job. And, you know, and then there were things that we initially thought were impossible to implement. We told ourselves we can't do it. We can't do a 40-hour work week. We can't do unlimited vacation. We got a lot of pushback. You know, we can't provide a quality of life in the restaurant business. But, you know, like Laura said, if our people can leave to go to, you know, a car dealership or be a professional poker player or a pastor, and that is where we were losing people to, we have to be able to compete with all of those places, not just be the best restaurant, the best company. So we found a way to implement unlimited vacation and commit at the very top level down from our shareholders down to that 40 to 45 max hour work week so that we can really truly not only just allow but encourage our managers to have a quality of life and make work their second priority, because when they're relaxed and when they're spending the time that they need off, they're going to come back more refreshed and they're going to be more connected to us and to, you know, where we want to go.
Jody, thank you. Well said. Thank you. Anthony, I have a question for you. What are some things about your company culture that stands out to your employees?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, we've really tried to move the culture conversation away from ping pong tables and beer fridges. I mean, that's nice, and you know, thanks to the tech industry, they've really you know, put that on the stamp of this is what a great place to work looks like. And while those are components of it, I worry that companies have gotten too caught up in that piece of it, of like, oh, we have to have this, we have to have game room. And to me, you know, company culture is basically how do things get done here? And when we think about that, for us, we want to bring people together to do meaningful work that they take pride in, that they enjoy, and that they are passionate about, and they're doing it with people that they trust, doing it with people that they respect, and that they love. And so when you create that situation, all of a sudden, when you are on that drive into work, you're getting more excited the closer you get to work, as opposed to you know, the drive and you just dread it more and more the closer you get to that front door. And so for us, yes, we do a lot of the fun things as well and throw that into the mix, because I do think it's critical. And I'm a firm believer that fun and productivity can go hand in hand. Those don't have to be two separate things. And I actually believe that when people are having fun, they actually are more productive. The first line of our mission statement is love what you do. And we believe that when our team comes in and they love what they do, we're going to deliver a higher level of service to our clients. I mean, when was the last time you went to a place and had terrible service and thought to yourself, man, I bet that person really loves their job? Like, right, that just doesn't happen. And so creating a space where when people come to work, they're doing something where they find fulfillment, they're utilizing their strengths, and they're doing it with people that respect what they do, and they respect in turn what those other people do. So when we really distill down what that culture looks like here, I think that's at the core of it. And then all the other fun stuff we layer on top of it, which I think some of the stuff we do makes us unique. We talked about it last week, Brian, but that to me is really at the core of what our culture is here.
So Anthony, true or false, a guest can taste a happy kitchen?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, and especially for us, we're in the catering business. It's an experience. And so I tell our culinary team this all the time, like we do these tastings, right? People come in and they want to try our food and sample it. And I said, with all due respect to my culinary team, which is phenomenal, we don't win or lose tastings based on how good the food tastes. We win our tastings based on the experience and the trust that people have in what we do. And in catering, I know it's a little bit different, but there's some similarities. We're selling non-embarrassment. Like at the end of the day, like people are trusting us with some of the most special days in their lives. And so they have to have the confidence that we're going to execute it. And so we give them a tour through our whole facility. And they walk through and see what we're doing and how we're doing it, and see people that are smiling, and they feel that when they sit down and taste the food. But even when they don't see that, just guests at our events, I think they can feel the passion and the pride our team takes in what they do.
That reminds me of the term that I always use, but culture eats strategy for breakfast. So how many of you back in the 80s could scream at a server and say, now go out and serve my guests? You can't do that. That's the same analogy now. Make someone feel like garbage. They're going to make sure that your guests feel like garbage. And
can I add to that, Brian? Because
please do.
100% agree. And Jody talked about the intentionality of how you build culture. My dad, classic screamer. I think the first event I worked, somebody told him to F off and walked out, and he made two people cry. And then, two of our chefs got in a fight. Like the culture was not pretty when I started in this business. And I love my father and he's passionate about hospitality, but I watched this happen. And when those things would take place, I equated to somebody landing on a porcupine. That, all of a sudden they're in the corner licking their wounds, pulling all these quills out of them. They are no help or of service to anyone else on that event or any guests, because they're so immersed in trying to protect themselves from what just happened. So it really is counterintuitive to what we want out of our team members.
Well said, Anthony. Thank you. Jody and the Lehigh Valley Group, what do you feel is the most important step to take when revamping your company culture?
And jump on that. I think Sorry,
go ahead, Dave, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I think the first important step is to, and Jody and Laura touched on this a little bit too, is trust. Your team has to trust what it is that you're trying to do, and that you have the right intentions, and that you're truly in it for them. One of the things that we talk about all the time is building a culture around accountability and trust, and making sure that people understand what we're trying to do. So accountability and transparency, and making sure that they understand that we're here in the hospitality industry, but it's not just to show hospitality to our guests, but to show hospitality to our team members too. So it's about making sure that they understand what's expected of them, making sure that they're given the tools to actually succeed. And then when they go out and do the job, celebrate the heck out of them and say, hey, we're so thankful that you took what we asked you to do and you went and did it. And when you hold people to those accountability standards, I think it shows, and it helps build that trust that this is what the company's expecting of you. And when you do it, you get rewarded for that. So I think our team really buys into that a lot. And when it comes to then trying to figure out where you're going, it's about saying, okay, now that our team trusts us, define what success looks like for you and your brand and your company and your organization, and then work backwards and say, all right, here's where we want to be. Now, how do we actually get there? And then because you've built that trust with your team, you can go back and ask them and say, hey, what do we need to do to actually get the way we're going to get to? And so you can do that through surveys and other traditional means, but a lot of times you can get that too just by going out and walking around and talking to your frontline people. I mean, one of the things that's really cool about our company is that from our CEO down to everybody else and the managers, so much can be gleaned and learned, and we pick up these little data points by just walking around and talking to people. So again, our CEO is not afraid to be in a restaurant and eat lunch and just talk to that server and say, hey, my name's Mike, how you doing? You know, and just get to know them. And I think that helps really build that trust that we're willing to have those conversations. And again, you don't want to make false promises or anything like that, but really trying to dig into what the team wants to see from you, I think goes a really long way.
Great, David. Thank you. Now I'm going to piggyback on that question and ask both groups the same question. So Anthony, we'll start with you. Hearing what David just said, have you ever hosted what we call as a start, stop, continue meeting? But have you ever hosted something like that with your teams to help revamp the culture? And if you did, what did you learn?
Yeah, so we actually do it every month. It's something that we started many years ago, where we just said once a month, we're going to have a meeting where we don't think about how we're going to execute this event or the new product that we're going to put on our menus. It was all about how do we spend 60 to 90 minutes every single month being intentional about how we're going to build culture here and how we're going to develop the leaders in our organization. And so I think, you know, while it's not the official start, stop, continue, that all takes place in that meeting each month, where we call it our monthly MIBE meeting. The MIBE acronym actually was started by our team, where they came up with this, you know, they took that middle part of our mission statement, make it better every day. And you'd hear them saying, oh, that's a good MIBE. And oh, you MIBE that. And so this was our whole thing, to be intentional about, let's look at what we're doing with our culture and how we do it, and let's figure out ways to incrementally make it better over time. Because I'm not a big believer that wholesale changes are sustainable, especially if, you know, you're compounding them on top of each other. I just think that's a little too difficult for people when they have other things that they're working on. But this idea that we can continually make things better just from where we're at, eventually you look back a year, 5 years, and you're, you know, almost embarrassed of what you were doing because you've made so much progress.
And then I'll take that same question about really seeking to understand what it is that the employees would like. So from Lehigh Valley, what did you learn?
Well, we don't do an official start, stop, continue either, but we have a lot of committees and councils that we have for all different topics. We have a president's advisory board, and that is about what can the company do better? What do we already do really well? What should we keep doing? And what do we need to change? And those are all levels of the organization. You know, we do our traditional surveys, but for the most part, you know, we get a lot of our information from stay interviews. And like Dave was saying about trust being so integral, because we want them to tell us what it is that they want us to do. And if they don't trust you, they're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And then you're never going to really truly know what it is that they need and what you're not doing well. We do, you know, we've done roundtables. We have different councils, like I said, in our state interviews, things that we've learned, you know, basically everything that we've changed over the last 10 years. You know, we knew, I worked in the culture of the company. I knew it was broken, but until you really talk to people and they're comfortable giving you information, you know, that's how you start being successful. When they feel like, hey, I feel good to share my information with you, and then you do something with that creates buy-in to help make them more connected again to what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then they're more likely to just go out and be such a champion for the organization.
Right. So to piggyback off this, Anthony, and I know this happened to me and probably everyone on this call, sometimes we are experts at solving a problem that doesn't really exist and then make a bigger problem out of it. So looking in your rear view mirror, did you ever make a decision that you thought would be very helpful and turned out to be horrifically wrong? And what did you do? How did you react?
That's a tough one, Brian.
That's why I'm moderating.
When it comes to culture, no, I can't really point to anything. I think the beauty of when we've done things that haven't always, you know, worked, I can't point to anything that was a colossal failure. But I can look at a lot of things that weren't great at the first onset and that we've figured out a way to make them great. You know, like our recognition program was very clunky when we started. It was like this acts of awesomeness, and, you know, you wrote on these cards, but then, you know, how they got announced was like a drawing and only a few people were recognized. And that's evolved into this very formal Jimmy Buck program that pays tribute to my dad, the Jimmy. And, people submit a request for anyone to get a Jimmy Buck within our organization now. It's all done online. It's formulaic, where now what they get actual dollar with my dad's face on it, and has what they did to get the Jimmy Buck, and they get read aloud in team meetings and pre-shift meetings on events. So it's and then they can use their Jimmy Bucks in the swag store to get hats and jackets. So it's this robust program that we have, but the success of it wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have started somewhere and done something that was like not super effective, but taking that and saying, okay, let's keep building on it. So I'm sorry I don't have
No, that's actually exactly what I'm looking for. Sometimes we make decisions based off an original mistake and make it worse, but you made it better, which I think is excellent.
And here's one of the other things that we talk about too, is we're good with 80 to 90% solution. And this applies not just to culture, but to business, because I think a lot of times we found ourselves being paralyzed by perfection, that we'd look for a solution that was 100% or that worked for all of our people, or it had to be perfect. And all of a sudden we wouldn't do it because we couldn't find anything. And then we said, well, okay, let's just not worry about 10% of the people. Like, let's just understand that 10% of the people aren't going to like this, or it's not going to apply. Like, should we do it still? Everybody's like, yeah, like it's 90%. We should do it. Great, let's do it. And we do it for 90% of the people as opposed to 100%. And then all of a sudden we get to 91, 92, because we've got something that has a lot of traction, people get excited about. And you're probably going to still have a few percentage of people that just aren't going to be happy with it regardless. But I think a lot of organizations spend way too much time catering to that 1% to 2%. And they stop thinking about the fact that, like, no, this would really be great for most of our people. Let's just do it.
Excellent. And then Jody, I'll shoot that same question over to you. Something that started, I like what you said, clunky, that evolved into something so fantastic that you were so happy you kept going.
Oh man, I think a lot of our programs start out kind of complicated, or at least they did in the beginning, because, and similar to what Anthony was saying, we were striving for perfection. We're looking for something that pleases everybody because we're in this hospitality business and we want all of our employees to love us all the time. And so we spent a lot of time, I think, creating programs to manage the exception, and they get very complicated because we say, okay, here's what we want to do. How are we going to get there? Okay, well, that's not going to reach everybody. So let's add this in, and let's add this in, and let's add this in, and let's do this, and let's change that. And then one person either complains about it or takes advantage of it. And then we want to change the whole program again. Just kind of resetting the standard and saying, okay, this is the program. It's a good program. We're going to take all of that noise out of it and just make the program one size fits all, and manage, if something comes up and somebody's unhappy, we deal with that one person instead of constantly trying to reinvent the wheel, because we want to please everybody all the time. And, one thing we know is you're never going to please everybody all the time. You're just never going to do it. So I love what Anthony said about, like, if we're at 80 or 90%, love it. So we've had, I think, again, our social media, we started with like this big Twitter thing, and sometimes that backfired on us too, because it was very public. And so everybody could see it, and they're seeing 90% of the great things that are happening. And then you have one or two people put something out there that puts the company at risk. So we had to quickly pull back on that, find a different way to, recognize and celebrate people, and just keep streamlining that over time.
Perfect. And again, the reason why I even asked that, and you both did amazing, is the fact that sometimes we're so bogged down by perfection that it's the paradox of choice. It's so much risk or little risk that we don't do anything. And it's good to hear. I'm a huge advocate of, it's always great to have a great mistake. Small, simple mistakes, they always seem to turn out okay. And it allows you to think there's got to be a better way. So thank you for answering that. That's a tough question to answer. It allows us to be vulnerable, but I really appreciate that. So I was told I have 5 minutes. So I have a couple quick, if the people presenters can put their information in the chat box for everyone else to have access to you via email or phone number, or any links that you may have, that would be very helpful. Thank you for that. Around the Zoom room here, did anyone have a success story they would like to share? Because I like to call people out. But was there anything that one person would like to share with this group that was a major success story when it came to moving the needle with culture? TJ, come on, buddy. I know you got me here. It's two TJs. One of you two have to have something.
Sure. How's it going?
Good.
All right. So yeah, I mean, we spend a ton of time on culture at Kitchen Kettle Village. We have vision, mission, and values. Actually, 2 or 3 years ago, the team actually created. So it is who we are. We live those. Everything from our training to our free check-ins we do a year with our team members, to our 15-day check-ins, they all have to do with those vision, mission, and values. And we pretty much say that if we create the culture, the results will come. So our vision is spreading happiness, and our mission is to create memorable and lasting memories. So we want to connect emotionally with people. And we truly do believe that if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So that's global throughout the company. We also spend time on DISC. We do DISC assessments, which really helps us place people into the correct roles. So maybe they're not having a great time in their current role, but they're a great culture fit. So we'll find a place for them somewhere else, and it usually seems to work out.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Hey, Brian, we had one thing that we did that worked out pretty well. We were losing managers at a high rate. We made it a zero tolerance for texting the managers. Any store issue has to go through the restaurant now with a phone call. Our managers were getting 80 texts a day, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and we had to put an end to it. And so we went old school with, you got to call, talk to the manager on duty, and they will handle the issue.
That's great, Mick. Thank you. So, 60-second elevator pitch, words of wisdom. Anthony, what do you have for this group? If you had 60 seconds to give us some great insight, what do you got for the group?
I think the most important thing is, Dave mentioned this, trust and consistency. When it comes to culture, I talk to a lot of people in companies and they say, oh yeah, culture is the most important thing to us. We're giving our team off every Sunday. It's like, okay, that's great. And then all of a sudden an event comes in on Sunday for 25 people and they take it. And they're like, oh yeah, but we have to do it. And every decision you make is sending the message to your team of what's most important to you. And I don't want to downplay that the business is important. You have to balance the two. But if you're going to sit up there and say culture is most important to us, then you got to back it up with your actions, not just your words. And so the consistency of thinking about how you want to build culture, not once a month, not once a year, but every single day, how you incorporate it and how you think about that with your team is how you build a great place to work. It can't be something that you just say, hey, we'll work on that in the slow time.
Love it. Jody?
Yeah, I would say something very similar, just like stop managing the results and manage the people. Everything that you can do to manage the people, provide do great hiring, provide them the tools they need, train them really well, treat them really well, develop them, give them opportunities, tell them what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. And if you do those things, they're going to be connected to you and they're going to take care of all the results and your guests for you.
So to wrap up my piece, I'm a buzzword fan that have meaning, and I took a lot of notes in this call, and there seems to be a lot of commonality with all the other Zooms that we've done. Here's what I heard. Know your people, building trust and keeping it. Culture is everything, yet it starts from the top down. Top down, that's critical. We are hospitality, so show it. Engage in your teams, listen. I actually had a listening class with my team. Do you actually know how to listen to people? Flexibility, work-life balance. I love a new one today, 90% solution. Thank you, Anthony. Fun in your DNA, not just as a checkbox. I can't stand that. Financial gain, pay them. For God's sakes, pay them, but money is not everything. It is about culture as well. Mental health on all levels. Celebrations. You can move the needle with little money. Accountability, trust and transparency, clear expectations, and 3 more. Start small and have many successes along the way. I like this one. Be the boss that you wish you had. And my last one, energy is contagious, both positive and negative. So thank you very much to both groups, Lehigh Valley team, Anthony, thank you all so much for doing this. I'm going to turn this back over to Heidi, I assume, and thanks for allowing me to do this as well. I learned so much. Thank you.